Hi, I'm your host, Michelle Poverman, a former anxious empath turned mostly grounded psychotherapist, intuitive guide, and energy healer, and this is Into the Work. And it isn't just a podcast, it's your actual invitation to break free from old patterns, end the cycle of your self-abandonment, and finally step into the life your soul has been craving. Each episode is a spark to help you rise higher, to help you shine brighter and reclaim the truth of who you really are. The spark has already been lit. And sister, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's go ignite a fire. Hi there, welcome back to the show. Do you ever feel like you're being pulled in 10 different directions at once? Like you have so many passions and interests, so many callings that you don't know exactly where to start. And every choice feels like you're leaving a part of yourself behind. If that's you, you are not alone. And today we're going to talk about how to find direction when you feel scattered without losing any part of yourself in the process. So first, let's just normalize so many women that I work with, especially my light workers, my seekers, empaths, all you creative souls. A lot of you feel this tension. You want to make an impact, like there's a seed planted within you, a code that has been set, that you are here to have an impact. You're here to be a healer deep down inside, no matter whatever that looks like with the expression. And so you want to follow your heart. And yet, picking one thing feels freaking impossible because choosing one path can feel like saying no to every other calling that you have, every other part of you. And fear kicks in. If I pick this, will I lose the rest of me? It feels like it's just a part of the puzzle, and it doesn't feel like enough. And here's the truth. Having many passions is not a flaw. I know this day and age, everybody's telling you, be good at one thing. But truly having many passions is not a flaw. It is a gift. And it's one that requires some special handling to make sure that you're not spinning in indecision. Did you just hear what I just did? Did you catch it? I just gave you a very healthy reframe that you are not a scattered mess, that you're actually gifted. And you just need a clear path forward. And I'm going to help you with that today. So why do we often feel stuck? I think in part it's cultural conditioning. We're told to specialize, pick one thing, don't spread yourself too thin. Trying to be everything to everybody, you'll be nothing, right? And as empaths, we feel the weight of what other people might think or need from us. And the reason we freeze isn't laziness, or it may not even be indecision. A lot of times it's fear of losing ourselves, or fear really of choosing wrong. That was so big for me, always feeling like I can't make a decision because there's so many things I'm passionate about and I don't want to choose wrong and get into it and not want to do it anymore because I feel so pulled to the other things. Then comes the comparison trap. We see people nailing one thing out there in the world. They're like nailing it, that one thing. And we think, I'll never hit it like they do. But here's the secret. Multipassionate people rarely nail one thing forever. They sequence their passions over time. They grow into the life they're meant to live, like piece by piece. But here is where it gets a little tricky. Multi-passionate people often feel like nothing they do hits at all. I know you hear me. You're like, it's just not quite it, or it's not right. It's not hitting at all. You start one project, you feel a spark, and then another and another, but it never feels complete. You might even think, maybe I'm just like scattered and I should pick one thing and stick to it. Why can't I do that? And then it's like maybe this long story you have about yourself that I never have been able to pick one thing and stick with it, right? You've got this story that what's wrong with me? And then you turned it into something a negative story about yourself that's becoming some kind of programming for you and gets you even more stuck because you have this belief about yourself. The truth is, the goal isn't to nail everything at once. It's to sequence your passions. Each one builds the next version of you. Each passion is like a stepping stone to a bigger life you're meant to create. However, if you are out in the world avoiding choosing, avoiding taking action, okay, that is why you're stuck. It's because you're not taking action. Because you're stuck in this idea of being this person who can't just choose one thing. And the idea of choosing one thing forever feels awful. But here, I want to say to you, the cost of avoidance is huge. There's a quote that I wanted to add in here. The cost of avoidance is not what you didn't do, but the self you didn't become. That quote is sometimes attributed to Elizabeth Gilbert, though I couldn't find the exact source. I've heard it before. The idea, though, is just golden. It's like when we avoid stepping into our passions, when we stay frozen in indecision, the real loss isn't the opportunity itself. It's the version of ourselves that never gets to grow. So what do you do instead of spinning in this indecision? And here are some ways I want to suggest you to navigate your multi-passionate life, okay? So first of all, number one, I want to invite you to follow the energy. Which passion excites you the most right now? I want you to start there. And some of you are like, yeah, but I have a passion for all the things. But I fully believe that if I sat you down and we had a session together, I would ask you, we would whittle it down. I'd be able to say, I want you to get quiet. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to get into your body and out of your head. And if you find yourself feeling really indecisive and you know that this is one of your procrastinating features, this is one of your typical things to do is to kind of get indecisive and then avoid, I want to invite you to go to michellepufferman.com and check out my Inspiration Hub. I have a bunch of free things available there on michellepufferman.com. And my Inspiration Hub is a place where I put all of my freebies in one spot for you guys to visit. I won't have it forever because eventually I am going to be making some switches in who holds this information, all this stuff for me, and it might look a little different. So this is a really good time for you to join. And so it's all free. And inside there, I do have a video, and it is called How to Use Emotional Intuition to Make Big Decisions. And I walk you through what I would do with you in a session to help you make a big decision. And this can be one of them, like, which thing do I choose? And I'll help you walk through that through this video. So go to michellepufferman.com and get the Inspiration Hub, and then you can go into the videos and check out the How to Use Emotional Intuition to Make Big Decisions. So getting back on track, following the energy. Which passions excite you the most right now? Okay. And if you need to sit there and do sort of an ask and receive and get the information and learn how to, visualize and whatever tricks you have up your sleeve, or you can tap into the ones that I have, do it and get the information you can gather. And then number two, I want to encourage you to set a container, not a cage, a container. Give yourself a season. Like, just say, you know what, I'm going to do this for 90 days, right? Or I'm going to do this for 6 months. Whatever feels good to you, to just focus on the one thing. It doesn't have to be forever. A lot of times we get really stuck on doing this one thing. I'm committing to it forever. And we need to give ourselves full grace to change our minds at any point, because it's not even about changing our minds because we're flighty. It's because intuitively, it's time for us to move on. It's just time to move and shift and create somewhere else, and trust that you're building something. And that's something, that something that you're building, moving from one thing to the next, whatever that is, allows you to create a foundation that you are bringing to the world. You get to be seen, heard, and known, and you allow people to share your gifts, whatever that is, inspire other people. So it's really important for you to do this work. Step 3, I'm going to talk about creating a parking lot. Okay, I want you to write down all the ideas you're not going to act on right now. And I want you to just promise yourself that you're going to revisit them later. This calms the fear of missing out, but it also relieves the brain of holding. Our brains are holding way too much. And now put this list in a place that you can easily revisit. Putting it on a sticky note that you're going to lose, or putting in a notebook that you know is just going to get tossed in with 500 other notebooks that you never remember where you wrote it, not a good idea. Because I want you to feel like this is this really lovely, beautiful idea place where you get to go and be like, ooh, what did I say to myself 3 months ago that was exciting to me? And get re-sparked and re-energized again, okay? Now, I also want to help you define success broadly, because I've already said it, but I want to say it again. Success isn't nailing one thing perfectly. It's growing into the next version of yourself through each pursuit. When I started this podcast, okay, like guys, I started this podcast, I'm number 80 right now, right? So this, I don't know, you could do the math. It was a long time ago. It was over a year ago. I started it in March of 2023, right? Because last year was a year. So I was spinning for over a year. And I was like, and I had heard someone say to me, right, Michelle, the only way through is through action. But I was spinning for a year on this idea of a podcast. And I kept thinking, who is gonna listen to me? And yet people kept telling me, Michelle, you really should have a podcast. Do you remember how I started it? I don't know if you've followed me or if you've been following the podcast since the beginning. Those of you that have, thank you. But those of you that have, I started it like I had no idea what I was doing. And I felt insecure that anybody would want to hear me in a microphone, right? So I was like, I have to bring other people in, and I got to do what I know that I'm good at. So I thought I'm going to have therapy sessions online. And so that's how I started it, right? It was going to be, you're going to be on my couch. You're going to witness these therapy sessions and learn so much and be inspired by those sessions and find them interesting, right? Because every human pain that's out there, we relate to in some way. So I figured this is really beautiful. So I did that. And guess what? I'm doing it, and I started not liking it. I was so willing to put myself out there and just mess up and not be perfect in it and not be the best therapist because, being on a microphone and recording and, it's so it'd be easy up for judgment. But I actually was okay with that for some crazy reason. But what I wasn't okay with, what started happening was after the sessions that I would do, and I would hit the button to put it out into the world, I'd start to feel anxious. Like, do they still want that out there? I started feeling really weird about it. Like they said yes, and they wanted to do that session. They wanted to do it online. But then I was like, I don't know if they still do. Maybe the way that session went felt almost too personal for them, right? Like I started really understanding that there's something about this that doesn't feel aligned ethically or something within me. It just felt like I started feeling like a little bit worried about I'm very protective of my people, right? So like I felt a little bit worried that something we did in the session, they don't necessarily want to say, Michelle, please don't put that up, but they might feel uncomfortable. And so I realized this isn't going to work for me. This doesn't feel right. And I had to switch and change it. And I literally didn't even apologize. I just started changing it. I just started doing, interviews. And then I was like, I think I need to actually just really get on the microphone and be me and do that for a while and then do interviews again, right? And so I've been doing that just to kind of get used to that. And my point of sharing this with you is that you too have a journey ahead of you. It's different than whatever you think the start is. It's going to unfold into something you can't imagine right now, right? Or something you think isn't possible right now. But none of that happens until we step into action. And so defining success for me, it truly hasn't been about just that I did those therapy sessions online and how brave that was, or I'm doing, this podcast even. I love this podcast. I am very proud of it. But I think what's more powerful is who I've become by doing it. That I have evolved in my own world so much for showing up here every week. And I've busted serious beliefs. I have broken through and unlocked some things within me, some codes that existed for centuries, I think, right? In my ancestral line. And here I am, and I'm the one that gets to step forward and put it out there. And it feels so special. And so I share this again to inspire you that this is what success truly is. Which brings me to another point. I want to ask you to anchor in your identity and not the project. So you're not your job. Let's say you want to start a podcast. That's not who you are, right? But the podcast or your business or whatever project you're thinking about doing, or even just how you want to show up as a mom or dad, like whatever that is, you have an identity that's separate. And it is a part of you, right? It is coded with healer, teacher, creator. It's coded with all these beautiful parts of you that are here to be expressed, that make you a multi-passionate person. That is your identity. The things you create are just expressions from any one of those identities, any part of your identity, I should say. And so your identity stays steady while the ways you express it evolve, okay? And I think understanding that allows you to mix it up and change it up and say, this is more of a reflection on how I choose to express it in the moment. Okay. So we're going to talk about integrating also versus eliminating. I want you to look for ways your passions can also overlap. So for example, if you are somebody who's like, I love writing, I am meant to be a healer, I love to teach, you might say, okay, so maybe I'm supposed to be here coaching, or maybe I'm supposed to take some of these things and overlap them and create content for other empaths to get out there and be the healers. Maybe your calling is also to pick up a microphone and take each one of those things and express it. And so there's all these different parts of you that can be funneled into one thing, should you choose to. It's a fun way of looking at it. Like it's integration versus like the concept that I'm eliminating these other parts of me by choosing this thing, right? Maybe the thing you choose starts to integrate all the parts, or trusting that they will, and you just can't see it right now, right? And that brings us to trust. I want you to trust your soul's timing. You don't need to do everything at once. Each step builds the next. And I don't know about you, I can be really impatient. So as soon as I want something, I need it all now. And then I start to feel really shitty when I can't create it all now. And I used to put a ton of pressure on myself. And so I just want to introduce this soul's timing perspective that you aren't supposed to do everything all at once. And like I said, we're sequencing, we're putting pieces of ourselves out at a time, and that each step builds onto the next. And sometimes we can't see where it goes, and that's hard. And if you have a vision of how what you currently feel is going to happen, right? Especially for those of you listening that might have that impulse control thing where you're like, now that I thought it, I need to do it now. And there's almost this huge tsunami of energy that wants to come through you. Maybe you're a manifesting generator or a manifestor of some sort, right? And so you've got all this energy running through you all of a sudden, like the gates opened, and that can feel a little overwhelming. But there is a timing to this. There is a divine timing that's unfolding. And whatever your pea-sized perspective is on the whole thing right now, your job is truly to step into action, okay? And we're going to talk about that. Here's a perspective shift for all my empathic lightworker listeners. Choosing a next step doesn't mean abandoning your other passions. It's more like giving one part of yourself a little sunshine right now so it can grow. Your other passions, they're still orbiting, okay? So they're going to come into focus. So I want you to think of it this way. Like if I'm choosing this thing that I want, right? I'm choosing this. And yet all these other little planets of my gifts or my passions or stuff that I want to pursue are sort of orbiting around me, that I can trust that they're not going away. And I can trust that they're always in my vision. They're always around you. They're never going to be something that you just can't, I forgot that thing I like to do, right? When it's time, you can trust that it shows up, that the spark will be lit, right? I don't know if you know Marie Forleo or not. She really does a lot of work on multi-passionate people, and she describes people who thrive by integrating the multiple passions that they have into their lives and work. And she reminds us that being multi-passionate is not a weakness, it's a tremendous gift, but the clarity you seek doesn't come from thinking about what you should do. Okay, this is like the key here I want to share, the little nugget from her. The clarity you seek doesn't come from thinking about what you should do. And a lot of you are sitting at home, sitting at a desk with a blank piece of paper thinking, what should I do? It actually comes from engaging with your passions. Action creates clarity, not the other way around, right? So clarity doesn't always have to be what comes first and then action. I really believe that action creates clarity. And the more action steps you take, the clearer the thing becomes. So the idea that you have to figure out anything in advance, right, in your head before taking a step, that's the trap. It's a trap. And passion isn't just a singular thing for you to discover. It's like a fire inside you. And it can show up in anything you do, in everything you do, in the projects, your work, your hobbies. Even if you're focused on one thing right now, you can still bring your whole self to it. You only need to pick the next aligned step, not the perfect final step. There's nothing final about moving forward. There's no sign your name in blood on the dotted line. And with each step, you become the person capable of expressing your next passion even more fully because you learn the skill set of doing so. So here's my invitation to you. Journal, reflect, or say out loud. If I knew I couldn't lose any part of myself, if I knew that it was safe to choose, which direction would I follow right now? I want you to sit with this. What is calling the loudest, even if you're avoiding it? I just want you to own it, even if you're right? And you wanted to avoid it. I want you to call it out, say it out loud. What is calling the loudest right now for you to put your attention towards? And this is not, we're looking out, we're definitely steering clear of fear, anxiety, right? Those aren't reasons to stop. Those are the hurdles that you're going to face doing anything that is out of your comfort zone, right? And so we are asking you to, this is really a big ask. I get it. I'm asking you to shift out of a system, a paradigm, a programming that you have survived in for a very long time, and to make a decision to put yourself into something fully and to put yourself out there and do something maybe you've never done before in a way that you've never done it. I understand that, but you have a gift. Being multi-passionate is a gift, and you have gifts, and you're not scattered. You're fully expansive. Step into that energy. Step into what excites you today and trust that each next step is shaping the person you are becoming. And that's what freaking matters. That's all that matters, is that you become that person. You are destined to become in this life, and becoming that person simply by making the decision to truly act. You don't need to make the decision on exactly what it looks like. You just need to make the decision to keep acting. Keep taking steps, right? Okay, thank you for listening today. Share this episode with a friend who is feeling scattered or maybe a very multi-passionate person. And remember, you don't have to do everything all at once. Just pick your next aligned step and follow it with curiosity and courage. Those two things right there. Can you summon curiosity? And can you summon courage? Right? That's it. That's truly what is needed. That's it. It's actually very simple. I make it sound very simple, I realize, but I get you. I've been there. So have faith in yourself, believe in yourself. Next week, I'd love for you to tune in as we dive into Your Voice Matters, breaking generational patterns of being unseen as we explore ancestral patterns that might be keeping you hiding or playing small. This is going to be about the women that came before you, who learned early that survival sometimes meant staying safe, unseen, and playing small. And I want to help you identify and to recognize and honor the ancestral patterns that have brought you here today, right? And to help you identify where you still might be carrying these patterns, and to inspire you to claim your voice and your mission at this very powerful moment in time, right? I really believe there's no better time than right this moment to step into your power and your mission and your voice and use it, and to heal some of these ancestral ties that came before us and to honor them, but to be a cycle breaker. So tune in. We'll be doing that next week. So until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep becoming the fullest version of you. Talk to you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me on Into the Work, Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. If this episode spoke to you, please follow the podcast and leave a review. It is the best way to spread this healing work to other women. Your presence here matters. Step into your power, heal your soul, and rise with women who are doing the same. Keep joining us every week, and together we can heal the world. If you're ready to dive deeper, grab your free Shadow Work Transformation Bundle in the show notes, and I will look forward to seeing you next week.